What happens when you mix hack and slash, fan service, Scott Pilgrimisms, necromancy, James Gunn writing, music genre rock gods, and hordes of undead? You get this cutesy gore fest called Lollipop Chainsaw, an outbreak that takes inspiration from both the occult, where the idea of zombies was born from, and the ravenous apocalypses of zombie yore, mixed in with a little bit of teenage angst. Today's scenario is actually a bit different in how it starts, who can start it, and how wild it can get in the dark arts. Not only with its zombies, but the wicked generals that govern them, and even the gods. All because a bullied incel didn't get a girl and decided to foster the people to their graves. What happens when our world converges with that of the undead? Today, we are discussing why you wouldn't survive Lollipop Chainsaw's Rotten World Zombie Apocalypse. There's a gaggle of waifus in game, but there's way more waifus you can drink out of with gamer subs. Sometimes it's not enough to have them on your screen, sometimes you just want to have them on a cup. With gamer subs, there's a new limited edition waifu cup with their waifu drops for you to collect a new waifu just about every week. What do you fill those waifus with? Waifu related gamer subs mix-ins, of course. Some of my favorites include flavors like titty milk,
emotional damage,
and physical damage, and my personal favorite waifu flavor.
Okay, this time don't hit me. Okay?
Grandpa's Ashes. Try it all out today by using my link in the description, going to the Gamer Subs website, and using my code WOW at checkout for 10% off your total order. If you help me reach a certain goal, we could see about making our own waifu cup and flavor, and maybe we can get a zombie-related waifu up in here. Are you sick of me saying waifu? Well, order now and I'll shut up about waifus. 10% off with code WOW at checkout at Gamer Subs. Parallel to our own realm of mortal living exists two dimensions of light and dark, life and death. Those of pure hearts and angelic entities reside within the land beyond words. On the opposite end, for those of evil resolve and demonic persona, lies the rotten world, a universe composed of devils and the literal living dead, coining the perfect term for this reality. Alongside Earth, all three planes of existence do not merge or interact in any way beyond the point of a person's death when their soul is sent to their respective heaven or hell. That is until a red-pilled goth straight out of the Hot Topic backrooms comes into play. An 18-year-old high school outcast referred to only as Swan, dressed in Marilyn Manson-like attire, face jewelry, Slayer lenses, and gothic makeup, writing in a bloody journal with a feathered pen to show off his love for Edgar Allan Poe. Swan had displayed abnormal and antisocial behavior that was exacerbated by the constant bullying he received by nearly all of San Romero High School's student population. Dubbed the Goth Geek Bastard, his torment, both inflicted and self-inflicted, made him gain murderous tendencies and a desire to change the world to his whim, to shape it into the hell that he experienced every single day at school, hating every single person except the protagonist, Juliet Starling. She was the only person that ever showed him care and positivity. When he had developed feelings for her, he expected her to reciprocate his love without question. He loved her, so she needed to love him back. As we all know, if a girl is nice to you, that means she wants to have sex and get married. It's just the rules. But upon seeing that the cheerleader was actually dating a jock, the final thread in his incel-soaked brain had snapped. The only person he would have ever told, "Don't come to school tomorrow," was just another liar, fraud, and pretender. Because of Juliet's betrayal, he delved deep into his studies in the dark arts. Swan then discovered a way towards what was known as the Rotten World. Soon contacting the god of this realm, named Killabilly, Swan incited a ritual to connect his world to ours. Swan then infused explosive devices with black magic to finalize this horrid sacrament, planting them across San Romero High School to break the Rotten World barrier and kill all of his fellow students that had plagued him for so long. The explosions would go off, tearing a wormhole and unleashing a domino effect of many different dangers from the Rotten World, from the natural environment of the zombie realm, to zombies of all shapes and sizes, to edgelords becoming actual lords, to musically attuned demigods, to the god of zombies himself. A lot playing against your chances of survival here today, while the efforts of Juliet, her friends, and family had this plan thwarted because this is a video game and we have to have the protagonist win. We will separate from the lore here and discuss what would be unleashed if it came out today. What does Swan's incel-fueled ego trip into making a new zombie world mean for us? What does the Rotten World and its residents entail for a zombie apocalypse on our end without all the cutesy campy plot armor? Let's face it, we aren't gonna be hacking and slashing with our panties on full display and surviving to tell the tale, especially since demigod undead entities will be appearing and wreaking havoc with an army of the dead, all working together to ultimately and permanently connect our world with the Rotten World. For starters, just the sheer bridge between our realities will spell doom for anyone within a pretty wide vicinity of the damage. Hell, all entrances opened up in this manner will have the same effect. If you are not killed by the domestic blasts, the resulting aftermath will get you. Reason being, the natural air from the Rotten World is extremely toxic and viral, seeping out large distances as a foreboding mist, with it acting as a highly infectious airborne virus. When it is inhaled, it causes irreversible damage across the body, shutting down all major organs and just leaving the brainstem intact, instantaneously rotting your body from the inside out and effectively turning everyone in its cloud into zombies. These particular reanimated do retain some intelligence, or at least a modicum of it, able to speak, interact, trick, and use tools to give them a step up in lethality over the normal, everyday, average zomboid. The virus will cause drastic changes in the psyche of a victim, of course, making them the typical undead cannibals. That is a given. I've told you countless times how somebody turns when they become a zombie, but there is something else. They will try to talk to survivors. They have retained their vocal cords to speak. And at this point, they are kind of amoral and will more than likely be exceptionally more profane and use dark humor to communicate with living people. Some yelling about what they did to your mom or talking shit to you to get a response. Anything to draw you close to them so that they can bite you and infect you. Depending on the habits, body conditions, and physical traits of a person before zombification depends on what kind of zombie they will become. The fat and lazy nerds will simply bloat and be slow, typical lumbering corpses, but with a little more intelligence. Jocks, cheerleaders, and athletic types will be fast running and strong infected. But they will all be using what they can, physically and mentally, to dine on some human flesh, with durability to back up their onslaught to take hellacious amounts of damage from melee weaponry to live ammunition. As with any outbreak, it boils down to their sheer numbers and tenacity and having to go for their head, with their intelligence lending to a higher infection rate. These are not dumb zombies that are just trying to go for the bite. They're trying to trick you so they can infect you or dine on your balls or your head or any kind of part of your body. I don't know why I rambled that way. That's kind of the game I'm working with right now. But that infection rate will be higher, especially with the noxious gas seemingly coming out of nowhere to infect people instantly. It is even possible these gases will be used in coordinated strikes by gothic incels, Rotten World zombie terrorists, or what we are about to discuss, the Dark Purveyors. Amidst the chaos of the zombie outbreak suddenly spurring in populated areas, those that summon forth the Rotten World will also beget 5 powerful individuals known as the Dark Purveyors, zombie overlords that represent different genres of rock and metal music. The best genres on the planet. I would know. I look like Ozzy Osbourne and Geddy Lee had a baby with a Jimmy Neutron forehead. These Dark Purveyors wield powerful dark magic and will rot any and every living thing they come into contact with to bend to their thematic will. Whomever brings them to our world via these rituals will also garner full command of all 5 of them, spawning as spiritual balls of energy to be cast anywhere into the world to carry out this person's orders. Obviously inspired by Scott Pilgrim's League of Evil Exes. These zombie lords act mostly in self-interest as long as it coincides with their summoner's collective goal, working to infect more of the populace while bewildering the surviving population with their destructive and chaotic magic. All being extremely difficult to kill, having the powers to levitate to avoid gunfire and harm, and to scope out targets while directing any people they have infected. The first of these super zombies being the punk rocker Zed. Yeah! Who can manifest his very words into physical apparitions to bombard victims. These blockulators shoot out at incredible speeds to smash people and debilitate them from afar, or even to launch survivors long distances and watch them splat into a blood puree. His power over punk music gives him the ability to create a sound wall of noise that prevents any physical attackers from drawing near, even live artillery if loud enough. He can use his incredible speed to lunge at victims to turn them, or if he prefers, dislodging his mohawk to slice people in half, launching debris like cars willy-nilly and making everything in a surrounding area into a punk rock show. His powers are suitable for whittling down survivor camp defenses and also enacting sound-related torture to weed out survivors and or drive them insane to make them easier to overwhelm. Despite all this, he is considered the weakest of this fivesome.
Let's show her the Viking way! Ha 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 ha!
The second purveyor is the deity of Viking metal, Vicky, however you pronounce that. A hulking giant Viking Draugr, being comparable in size to a tank from Left 4 Dead, his strength is equal to, if not greater than that behemoth. However, Vicky's muscular fortitude is backed up by a litany of mythological powers, flying around in a flying giant Viking ship to crash into populations and cause panic and destruction. Using an enchanted drum set, can this metal god summon bolts of high voltage lightning to strike down adversaries. This instrument can also call upon kamikaze, Viking, exploding, flying zombies to bombard survivors. That was a mouthful, but that's what he's able to do. These things can either infect you or blow you to pieces. He can also cut you to pieces with his massive battle axe. Even the bear pelt that he wears can come to life and attack victims for the sport of it. If this Viking feels threatened, he may conjure fields of electricity to make the area around him inaccessible and an instant fry to those that dare attempt it. But even if you have long-range capabilities to try and kill him, his demonic presence will linger even if he is heavily damaged. He will make any body parts that have been bisected float around and still allow him to control them and have them attack people. He can even magnify the size of his decapitated head to fly around and shoot lightning out of his mouth like he's Nappa, or just using his big cranium to flatten you. Commanding a flying Viking ship that can shoot down destructive bolts of lightning, all while flying exploding zombies rain down in a giant Nathan explosion, slicing and enlarging himself, makes for a good way of outright killing heavily armed battalions of survivors, and that is where he will be sent.
And rot. And hell.
The third purveyor is of the psychedelic rock persuasion named Mariska. a hippie enchantress consistently playing a sitar. Unlike most zombies, she displays no violent tendencies, instead preferring to use hallucinations and psychedelic trips in what she calls the world of psychedelia, creating illusions to lure prey into traps in which either fellow zombies can come in and bite you or slip your mind away into what she describes as a collective consciousness with her, slipping survivors into drug-like comatose states to make them easier targets, making them run within the mazes of their own or her subconscious to never break free and make their body in a veritable vegetative state. And wouldn't you know, the zombies like vegetables and they're on the menu tonight. She can cause victims to levitate in the air against their will. If you are caught within her mental prison, breaking out will be difficult as she will be way more powerful in this illusory world, where she can manifest bubbles that can slowly dissolve your flesh, giant hands to smash you like you're in the final stage of Smash Brothers, carnivorous rainbow butterflies that eat your skin like a swarm of locusts, flaming rockets to burn you away, napalm strikes, tractors that could run you over, and even robot chickens to have an adult swim in your entrails. There is a lot going on, and you're going to have to face off against one woman zombie that can do all of this. Harming the illusory version of Mariska will only cause it to clone itself like a hydra, infinitely responding to torment you and attempt to conglomerate your consciousness into hers. This world of the mind makes it pretty much impossible for you to survive against so many odds. And all this is while you are still conked out in the real world, from the physical to the metaphysical. In this state, while Mariska is conked out, she will protect herself with an invulnerable kinetic barrier bubble to make sure she is not harmed, while the people she pulls into her mind games are susceptible to the elements in and out of her mind. While not geared towards genocide, Mariska's siren song of hippie music can be used to stealthily deploy into high-profile zones with impenetrable defenses, to cause high-ranking officials and inaccessible humans to hallucinate and possibly brain fry them as she teleports around. Make war, not love, baby. Now things get funked up with the voodoo funk zombie and fourth dark purveyor, Josie. A trickster god that prefers to toy with victims by putting them through trials of games, transferring you into nearby arcade or game consoles where you may or may not come back out alive if you fail. Josie apparently instantly is able to master a game, making his trials nearly impossible. Preferring to party and sound like T-Pain, he lets his abilities do most of the work to kill you. Transporting you to the nearest video game could either be a breeze or a general nightmare, although Josie will cheat and manipulate the odds to ensure you die. If you do somehow win and get out of his video game dungeon, he himself wields an assemblage of freaky deaky powers, launching rays of light like lasers to incinerate civilians, shooting electricity out to stun people, and pixel bombs to blow up groups. His main method of travel and assault, though, is his UFO, able to pull people in with an abduction beam, crush them with its metal weight, and summon holograms of himself to explode on foes. The ship can even enlarge to epic proportions to launch wide-scale invasions and mass destruction, all while keeping himself impervious to damage within the ship's domes. While the funk music he embodies doesn't really shine here much beyond, I guess, being out of this world, if Josie were a bit less lazy, he would be transporting tons of people into games they will most likely not win. If somebody is too strong, just send them into a game that they're probably not good at. That, and while this is all going on, he can jump into a spaceship that can very well likely Independence Day buildings and places. Never mind the zombie apocalypse stuff, this suddenly became sci-fi alien invasion shit, sending him in for major demolitions and to transport away vehicle pilots, armed individuals, and strong opponents to never be seen again. He could do that with more voodoo that will have you saying,
Follow me.
The last of the Dark Purveyors goes old school with old time rock. Lewis Legend.
You're just gonna die!
A drifter clad in a leather jacket and pompadour, he wields a guitar that is used basically like an assault rifle, riding around on a flaming motorcycle like Ghost Rider. His guitar and bike working in conjunction with one another to transform at will, gunning people down with his 6-string or morphing it into a chainsaw to chop them up. Impervious to being harmed unless he is unleashing an attack, even if he is injured. He will simply operate without the corresponding limbs and just float around. But when he is feeling threatened, he will transform his bike into that of a metal-inspired mech, equipped with a high-powered machine gun, large buzzsaw, and a snake-like clamp, wheeling around at high speeds to cut, eviscerate, and mow opposition down. Being more of a direct brawler, he would be sent into areas to clean up the scraps of any lingering survivors. So those are the special demigods of the dead, right? Surely nothing else beyond them and the zombies can mean you would not survive. Well, even if you or the human race were able to kill every single Dark Purveyor, it would simply work in favor of the Rotten World's influence and the one who summoned it all. Each Dark Purveyor was actually a pre-selected zombie to be sacrificed before the Rotten World's god. Upon each Dark Purveyor's death, do they speak this incantation: Meus vita rege pro nefario corrupto, all having their souls assimilated into the ethos, with the final sacrifice being that of the very human that invoked the zombie apocalypse and Purveyors, fusing their mind, body, and flesh into the god of the dead, the abomination himself, the proclaimed zombie of zombies himself. This is him. Killabilly. Yeah, with his presence means the complete merging of our world with the Rotten World. Standing 15 stories high, this kaiju king of rock is capable of, well, being a kaiju with its proportions, whipping up turbulent winds with the windmilling of his arms like he's Elvis, spitting out zombies like projectiles from his mouth to infect anyone he cannot reach, crushing anything it is able to grab, shooting high-powered lasers from his eyes to disintegrate you. He is extremely durable to the point that he's almost immortal. Even having high-powered explosives create a crater in its head will only temporarily set it back as it slowly regenerates its flesh. It is required for someone to go inside its decayed body to get to its heart. But when you are inside this body, tendrils and tentacles will seep out from the corpse to attempt to envelop you and either crush you or assimilate you if you dare go within. Reaching the heart of the issue, the only way to kill the zombie of zombies Killabilly is to connect a dead lover's living head to the headless corpse of the person that summoned the dead world from the start. And when they are connected, you have to blow the head up. Only that will destroy the Killabilly and shut the gate between our world and the Rotten World. You need this extremely specific and completely unrealistic MacGuffin to kill this god and end the apocalypse to shut the gate to the Rotten World, or else the Killabilly will just keep regenerating and summoning more undead and noxious gas upon Earth. So, yeah, that's the grand scheme of what this zombie apocalypse entails. The fact that an 18-year-old with antisocial, parasocial, and narcissistic personality traits easily discovered the methods of connecting to a world of zombies is already insane enough. But a teenager with emotions gaining control of 5 demigod-like beings to do his bidding and unleash a gas and wreak revenge on the population, well, things would only get worse. Basically, you're throwing a zombie death note at the kid in the back of the cafeteria that is always muttering to himself and telling him, "Hey kid, knock him dead." The Dark Purveyors may not even necessarily be the 5 we discussed, but 5 demigods that suit the emotional state and musical tastes of the one that summons them from the rotten world. The possibilities of the 5 Dark Purveyors that fit the person are endless. But with what we saw in everything from all methods of infectious Armageddon will be insane. Gases releasing more across the world, causing more and more zombies to sprawl up. And if you're not caught within the initial gas or gas attacks that sprawl up across the planet, you are in for an atypical smart zombie apocalypse that will soon be beginning, with smartass undead with varying capabilities trying to get you to come towards them to eat you out or infect you. Eventually, the summoner, someone like Swan, is going to appear and bring forth 5 Dark Purveyors, all of which of these guys and gals are so busted in their magical powers that even high-powered military might would have difficulty stopping them. Punk rock clashing words, Viking metal electrical storms, psychedelic acid trips that leave you in a vegetative state, freaking IRL video games being transported to them like you're in a damn Minecraft movie, and spaceships above disintegrating you in an instant, and, well, motorcycle mechs. The final boss pales in comparison to the 3rd and 4th, but still, all can be sent anywhere at the whim of the summoner as spiritual balls to appear and do the bidding of their master. They can go anywhere they are sent and just manifest from a pool of blood. If this is coordinated well enough, it would mean we would have no defense or offense that could stop them. And on top of that, let's not forget the invincible kaiju Elvis Presley that even if we nuked it, it could probably reform itself because we don't have a headless lover to blow up at its heart. Ultimately, our world would be at the whim of whoever invokes this ritual, and for that to happen, it would have to be someone obsessively involved with the occult to discover this and to choose to make it happen. So whoever you can think of personally that would do this, imagine what they would do with a worldwide zombie outbreak at the tips of their fingers, with demigods fitting their music taste and mental health. It's easy to see how you would not survive the rotten world zombie apocalypse of Lollipop Chainsaw. But as to not leave this off on a bad note, if you were the summoner of the rotten world, what 5 genres of music do you think you would have at your beck and call for your Dark Purveyors? Would you let your insecurities enact a super zombie apocalypse? Let me know down below. That wraps things up this time around. Did you enjoy this foray into probably the most fan-servicey and goofy zombie survival scenario yet? What should we cover next? Let me know. Shout out to Chago aka QuickFlix for editing this video together today, and special thanks to my Patreon patrons, YouTube channel members, and my livestream donators on my second channel WSG Streams for chipping in to have their names featured here. Thanks to GamerSupps for sponsoring the video. Use code WOW at checkout for 10% off your order for a waifu cup and waifu-related flavors. You know you want to get some, you filthy degenerate. I know you clicked on this video for that thumbnail pose. I know how you think. Go get a waifu cup. And until next time, I'm Zackass, aka Wow Such Gaming. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay kawaii, and stay wow.